Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Council Chambers for the Governance and Priorities meeting for April 4th. And yes, I said April. Can you imagine how fast time has gone? Only a short while ago, we were just celebrating Christmas. I'll tell you, it's, I don't know if it's I'm just remembering less because I'm getting older, or it's just time flies because I'm so much busier this year. But it is April, and we are into spring. I don't see our general manager of planning infrastructure, but one of the questions I have is will be when we'll start sweeping up the streets, as is very visible. Today. Today. Okay, with that, I have a motion agenda before you, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council adopt the April 4th, 2022 Governance and Priorities meeting agenda as presented.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Administration, anything to add? Thank you. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to public input session. This is the time that we allow residents to talk to council on anything that's not on the current agenda. Administration, has anybody registered?
Your Worship, no one is registered for public input this evening.
Okay, thank you. Seeing nobody has registered, does anybody in the gallery like to speak to council on anything that's not in the agenda? Want to talk about April Fool's jokes? You want to talk about the weather, potholes? Okay, see none, move on. Today there's no presentations and delegations as it's a very light agenda. Moving on to number 5 of the business items is number 5.1, the Culture and Tourism Annual Report. Go ahead, Administration.
I believe Chantal Labarge, our Culture and Tourism Coordinator, is available for a presentation to Council this evening.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Council, members of administration, and members of the public who may be watching virtually. It's been a while since I've been here, 2019, I believe. Very early in the year, 2019, so I'm happy to be back giving you an update in person. 2 new strategies have been put in place which direct the work being undertaken in the Culture and Tourism Development Unit, the Arts, Culture and Heritage Action Plan, and the Tourism Master Plan. The written report included in the agenda package provides an update on the progress of both of these plans over 2021 and a snapshot of upcoming development and programming in 2022. I think it's important to note that the report speaks only to activities directed by the plans and does not cover the ongoing operational work and programming that is undertaken by the unit. Tonight, I'd like to highlight a few of the projects that I was particularly excited about in 2021, and then I'll talk a little bit about what's coming up in 2022. So first, I just like to touch base on the Midsummer Thursdays pop-ups. These events were added in response to recommended actions in both strategies. They served to expand tourism offerings in Stony Plain and create a downtown event to draw residents out to enjoy culture as a community. They were launched as pop-ups in 2021 for various reasons, one of which, of course, was COVID and the ever-changing restrictions around that. Second was to evaluate the desire of the community and visitors to participate in an event like this. Although it is hard to assess the number of attendees at these events because they have multiple entrance points, many of the organizations and businesses that participated provided very positive feedback related to the setup, the number of attendees, and their desire to have the events continue in the regularly scheduled programming planned by the town. So the creation of these events also led to the addition of some temporary staff capacity to the unit. Midsummer Thursdays will be continuing in 2022 as established events, and a third date has also been added. This picture, the folks in this picture, the man and lady with the wagon and the child, I ran into them at the end of the June event, or sorry, the July event, as Rochelle and I were cleaning up. And they were on their way back to their car from having been down to shop on Main Street. and they told us that they had come from St. Albert and heard about the event on social media. They arrived right as the event was starting at 5 p.m. and were the last people that we saw leaving. Like, we were literally putting away the parking barricades. They had been to Bing's and had some chicken balls and then sampled and then also bought some items from the Kick A caramel store. They were so happy to have an event like this near them that was family and community oriented, didn't cost them a fortune, and was small enough that they could easily walk around. Not only did they come back for the event in August, but they also sought out Rochelle and I to say hi and let us know how much fun they had had that evening. The next thing I want to touch on is summer sessions. So after 2020 public health restrictions required that summer sessions be moved to a fully virtual event, we were excited to have some limitations lifted just in time for 2021 kickoff concert, which featured Martin Kerr. With a continued need for physical distancing and a capacity limit of 150 people, the decision was made to transition to ticketed events and move the location to Heritage Park so that the entrances could be monitored. Virtual viewing options were still available for those who couldn't procure a ticket or wished to avoid the crowd. The first 3 concerts continued under these restrictions and were completely sold out. The remaining 5 concerts had no restrictions, and attendance ranged between 300 and 600 each. And I'm just going to show you one of the marketing videos that we filmed this year, hopefully.
We are at the Stony Plain Heritage Pavilion, and it's summer sessions where we put on a free concert for all of the community. Basically, it is an evening to come out, sit down, and relax and enjoy different types of music. There's rock and roll, it goes to country, there's a little bit of in between. You just never know what you're going to get, and it's always very entertaining.
I think especially coming out of what we've just come out of, having any excuse to have some live music and have some people together in a safe environment and just, rebuild a sense of community, I think that's such an important thing to do.
We just had to spread people out at Chicowie Park. It's too tight, and with COVID, we needed the space to let people feel comfortable and safe to come to our event. And with this beautiful pavilion, we can spread everybody out and they can be at a comfortable distance between people.
I think at home's always great, if you've got your comforts, but you can't be big in person for a live music show. You can feel the music, you can feel the energy that put out around you. I think that's something that can't quite be replicated from home.
I would say, if it's a beautiful night, grab your lawn chair and just come down and check it out, and you won't be disappointed.
So I think that summer sessions were an important piece of bringing the community back together. Oh, sorry. We don't want to watch it again. At the events, we engaged the Mobile Visitor Information Center to undertake an informal survey of attendees. We were asking them if they preferred Chicowie Park over Heritage Park, and overall, the respondents felt that the infrastructure, including access to washrooms and parking, as well as the additional space on the grounds, made for a better experience. So with that in mind, the concerts will continue to be held at Heritage Park in 2022 with the overall goal of event growth. And lastly, I'd like to touch on the Tourism Ambassador Program. The goal of this program is to provide local businesses and organizations and their staff with the necessary training and resources to engage with visitors primarily, but also with residents and newcomers. When people are out and about in Stony Plain, their experiences are shaped by those they meet. Their first point of contact may be a gas station attendant, staff at a local store, a server, or a resident who is able to provide them with information. So recruitment for this program was launched in December of 2021, and training will be provided in partnership with the Visitor Information Center next month. To date, there are 10 businesses registered, which equates to 24 people on the ground equipped with the knowledge to make people's experience in Stony Plain exceptional. And then upcoming in 2022, some of the projects that we're looking at are the completion of a public art strategy, to refine and guide the public art and mural programs, the return of horse and wagon mural tours, launching a new online destination marketing partnership with Spruce Grove called On the Edge YEG, or YEG, unveiling of the Oatway Drive and Brightbank Avenue neighborhood improvement project, which includes the public art bench completed by Wendy Siebert, a magpie art project, and the evaluation or revision of the key performance indicators that are included in both of the plans. And that is all.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Members of council, any questions for clarity and understanding? Councilor Hansard, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Ms. LaBerge. I sit on this committee, which I'm thrilled to be doing, but until I read the report, things hit you differently when you're hearing it in a meeting and seeing it in a council package. Would it be possible for you to please help us understand the reference in at least two places here to murals in the downtown? We do have some murals that are not strictly in the downtown area, and I'm just curious if we're open as a town or as cultural development department and as council to having our murals placed in other places about town. Is it necessary to speak in terms of the downtown when it comes to murals and perhaps even other things? Because we're more than just a downtown.
Go ahead.
Through your worship to Councillor Hansard, the reference to the downtown in these particular plans is specifically in relation to the Old Town South plan. So that doesn't negate the ability to be able to place more contemporary murals in other places in the community. And in fact, the public art strategy will hopefully speak to that further. But they were specifically written that way to align with that other plan.
Good. Thank you. Councilor Hansard, anything else?
I think that's good. I have a comment on number 4 of the goals. And that is creating conditions for summer sessions to grow. I'm one person who really enjoyed that we had summer sessions at Heritage Park as things began to open up. One thing I noticed is when you've got all that extra room, kids who are not going to sit still through the whole concert created their own little communities and friends and meetings, and week after week we would go, my husband and I, and watch the kids run up and greet each other. Maybe they don't see each other any other time, but they'd come to summer sessions and there were their friends. Their ability to run around and play and roll on the hills, as we saw in the video, I think is an important thing for kids to be able to enjoy. So when parents want to go to summer sessions, it doesn't become a big burden for the kids. It's a fun night for them as well. And I really, at first, the first few times I thought, oh my goodness, it seems so empty. But it wasn't long till the numbers started to grow back. After being in lockdown for 2 years, some communities lose these things and never get them back. So kudos to you, Ms. LaBerge, and your department for not letting that happen in the town, giving you the resources to make sure summer sessions is not forgotten. Number 11, develop a public art strategy. We have worked on a public art strategy. Does this one refer in particular to expanding that in some way other than the direction we are already going?
Through you, your worship. So we do have a public art policy in place, which dictates a funding stream for public art in the community, both at new buildings undertaken by the town, capital builds, as well as in other places around the community. The strategy will create a roadmap that outlines how the funds that are sitting in the reserve from the policy should be spent. So basically put a piece in the downtown this year, but put pieces in other places in the community next year. So it'll just give us a guideline of how to enact that policy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate seeing how this department has grown and really enhances what I think it makes us a destination, because lots of people come from many surrounding municipalities to summer sessions and to many of the things that happen in Stony Plain. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I was going to add to Councillor Hanser's questions regarding summer sessions and trying to expand that in terms of the outcomes was to make it a year-round. So when can we, as a council, expect some of the year-round things?
Thank you for the question, Your Worship. We did explore the possibility of doing a winter sessions in 2019, and then COVID kiboshed that. So it is on the list of things to reinvestigate in terms of finding a location or determining whether we do that at a town-owned facility or whether we partner with a community member. So it is on the list, but I don't think it'll be happening in 2022, just for budget purposes.
Okay, and just a follow-up question regarding summer sessions again. Prior to COVID and having to move the location, we had summer sessions down at Chicago Park, which happened for about 7 weeks out of the year, one after the other. Glad to hear that the summer sessions, or whatever it was called, midsummer Thursdays, has now been expanded from 2 dates to 3. But there's additional 4 dates that the downtown or the Chicago Park area has lost because when we moved the summer sessions down. Is there any other initiatives to bring and fill those gaps?
Thank you. Yes, we actually are working with community and social development to relocate the cultural campfires to Chicago Park, which are scheduled similarly to summer sessions where there are 8 weeks of events. So Chicago Park will actually have 8 events in it this year, as well as the Midsummer Thursdays being an addition.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Lurie, you're next.
Thank you, Your Worship, and actually you had taken my question. I was just concerned about removing activities from Chicago Park and not replacing that. Obviously, downtown revitalization has been an incredibly important part of the town of Stony Plain over the last while, and well, I can appreciate the fact that summer sessions has maybe outgrown the space and there's more amenities available for washrooms, etc. at Heritage Park. I'm definitely glad to hear that we do have a plan to continue different events at Chicago Park throughout the summer to keep that atmosphere here in downtown. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I have 2 questions for the tourism plan and 2 for the arts and culture heritage plan. So through you to administration, I'd like to say thank you for the report. By the looks of it, we're going to be very busy in 2022, which leads me to my first question. In the tourism master plan, we identified a temporary position 2.E.4 for 2021. I'm curious if we have any intention on another temporary position to help out the department for 2020.
Through Your Worship, the position was actually extended, I guess, kind of, into a casual position for 2022. So there is some capacity there to continue. Primarily, her role is working on the Midsummer Thursday events and the Celebrate Downtown event happening in May.
Terrific. Also on you to administration on the tourism master plan. There's 3.C.2 and it speaks to the digital passport. I'm completely unfamiliar with that, but I did notice it does mention supplying incentives. I'm just curious who supplies those incentives? Is that a town thing or?
Thank you. Through Your Worship. Excuse me. We don't currently have a destination passport, so this would be a new initiative. It basically is exactly what it sounds like. It's a passport that you create either in consultation with the Chamber of Commerce or your downtown business association, if you had one. The incentives would be primarily, or typically, I guess, provided by the businesses or local hotels, or oftentimes they're presented as packages. So a shop will present 5% off, a restaurant 5% off, and a hotel 5% off, just to create a package, and then we would promote it that way. So it would be an ask on the community, businesses and organizations.
Okay, and just to follow up to that one, you briefly mentioned if we had a downtown association. I'm trying to rack my head, but I think we used to have one. Do we still have an active one?
No.
Okay. Perfect. Well, not perfect. Do we have any intentions to, or any interest from the community to resurrect that?
Through you, Your Worship, not my understanding is, I'm sorry, not my understanding is no. I'm not aware of that. However, I will say that a number of the downtown businesses, well, and the businesses outside of the downtown core, work together to put on and promote a number of sale events throughout the year, Moonlight Madness, February Frenzy, that type of thing. So they are working together, they're just not doing so in a formalized manner.
Okay. And sorry, just to follow up, and from the town's perspective, we're not actively looking to encourage that or any more than it already is?
Not for my unit, and I don't have any knowledge that another unit is either.
Okay. Thank you. And just another two, if I could. Moving back to the Arts and Culture Heritage Plan, Goal 8C addresses an incubator program. Now, my time sitting on the Growth and Commerce Committee, I am aware that we did do some looking into that. I see it up on here. I'm curious if that is the same initiative or if this is a different one and a different incubator initiative.
Through you, Your Worship, Councillor Meyer, it isn't the same initiative per se, but an opportunity to explore the possibility of combining a potential cultural center / incubator with a more business-focused incubator.
Okay. All right, and then I'll just add Goal 9, Tourism Ambassador Program. I particularly like the outcome there. This is more of a comment, Your Worship, through you to administration. Specifically, the ambassadors being actively identified at events. I look forward to seeing that, and if you need a windbag to introduce an ambassador, I volunteer myself.
I'll get you a t-shirt.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. And just provide a comment regarding the business association downtown. It was created many, many years ago as part of the heart of town business community, I thought, because they wanted to rejuvenate the downtown core because of the sidewalks and the street posts, and it was not very appealing or curbside appeal. There was a specialized levy that was attached to that, and the town used those dollars to recreate and spruce up the downtown, and that has been all done now and has unfolded because the association has accomplished its job. The town has now followed suit with that with the revitalization of the downtown core, and now we're just, as a business owner, definitely promoting collaboration with the other businesses to bring more people down, so cross-advertising. Any other questions for clarity and understanding? Okay, I'll add on to Councillor Meyer's question or comments regarding the tourism ambassador. I think that's a great idea. Just a quick question: does the community ambassador fall under your same genre? I think one of the initiatives coming out of the Mayor's Task Force on Community Resiliency was to have a community ambassador that had a little bit more knowledge of what was happening within the town's Stony Plain in terms of development, places to go shop, etc. Not just tourism, but also have a member of the community that was at these events, but as a community ambassador, not just a tourism ambassador.
Yes, so it's my understanding that the Chamber of Commerce is working on a community ambassador program, and we have been in contact with them around that, with the goal of the town partnering with them on that project, just to make sure that there's no duplication of services. In terms of the town undertaking something similar to that, my first step towards that is having the cultural roundtable members identified at the events via a t-shirt, armed with collateral information that they can hand out. So we are undertaking somewhat of a community program as well. It's just not formalized from a town perspective at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you for the report. It's really good to see the update. Definitely, as we mentioned many times, Stony Plain is just very multifaceted, and community, culture, and tourism is one of those facets of our community to make sure that we kind of keep in touch with our roots, with a firm feet on the current present, where we're right now, and then with an eye to the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Hanser with the motion, please.
Sorry. Mr. Mayor, I move that Town Council receive the 2021 Culture and Tourism Development Annual Update for information.
Thank you. Members of Council, any questions on the motion? Debate? Call the question. All those in favor? Okay, that's carried. Move on to 5.2 is the Canada Financial Award. Administration, go ahead.
Thank you and good evening, Your Worship. The town has received notice of successful achievement of the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting for the submitted 2020 annual report. This marks the 10th subsequent year the town's annual report has qualified for the award. The Government Finance Officers Association presents awards to qualified applicants who publish an easy, readable, and efficiently organized annual financial report demonstrating transparency to residents and all readers. We want to take this time to thank all of communication staff and all of the finance staff for all of their part in this successful application once again.
Okay, thank you. Members of Council, any questions, comments regarding that quick presentation? Okay, see none. Just on behalf of Council and our residents, thank you very much for the work that our staff between corporate services, finance, and communications have done over the last 12, 15 years of getting us to this point. As you mentioned, this is 10 years in a row of receiving this award. And as mentioned by the acting director, is that it's awarded to a municipality that creates a financial report that's easy to understand, which is readable, so which means it's in plain English and not, you don't need a degree in chartered accountant to understand what the numbers and cents are. And definitely it is, as you mentioned, time sensitive, and it's also very transparent. So everybody knows where the dollars are spent. As purse string holders of the community and tax base, it's very good to see us within 10 years in a row. Thank you. Last questions, comments? Councillor Laurie.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll motion that Town Council accept Canadian Award for Financial Reporting, CANFR, for the town of Stony Plain for the 2020 annual report.
Okay, thank you. Members of Council, any questions on the debate? Okay, call the question, all in favor? And it's done. Can we just take a break to take a picture with staff right in front, please? All right, members of council, back to our agenda. As I said earlier this afternoon, that it is a light agenda, so we're now at information items and council discussion. Members of council, this is the time to provide any updates to members of council and to our admin staff and ask any questions for clarity and understanding, if anything that's come up over the last several weeks from residents. Councillor Meyer, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just I found myself, not one from the residents. I was out for a run and I went to use our active park, our adult workout gym outside. I don't know what you call that. Anyhow, I do know that there's some, we do have an assessment of it that town goes out and does. And I know that we also did some improvements over it the last year, fixing up the flooring, the plastic rubber flooring. But I was using the equipment and I noticed there's no resistance. I'm just curious during that assessment if somebody has noticed that, if there's a plan to fix those or if that's just how they are.
Okay. So that's
thank you, Your Worship.
the Rotary Active Park?
Yeah, I think the Rotary Active Park located near Meridian School. And it does have a bit of a weight system or workout system there. I am aware, Your Worship, that typically, we do park inspections on a periodic basis. I'm not aware of anything that was brought up specifically on that one. We can certainly look into it, and we can advise council via email of anything that we know of, or updates on fixing or looking at or repairing as needed. So,
okay. Thank you. Anything else, Councilor? Councilor Hansard?
Well, Mr. Mayor, we're in discussion, right?
Discussion, yes.
Yes, good. What a joy to attend the State of the Region event. I paid for that when I was Jane Q. Citizen 2 years ago, and this time I was able to attend from my council budget to attend that event. It was wonderful to come together with so many people in a special night, and I thought you did a particularly good job, Mr. Mayor. Our video was the best video, although they all three were good, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable evening, and I was glad to be there with most of council. Also, Deputy Mayor Palechko and I both attended the Chamber AGM, where we voted in the new board for this coming term, and that was very efficiently run. Nice attendance at Blueberry Hall, so they're moving it around a little bit. 2 events. I was very, very grateful to participate.
Update, Councilor Hansard? Councilor Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing for me specifically, but on behalf of Councillor Loynes, she just asked that we highlight a little bit of the work at the Stony Plain Youth Centre. And this month they have in-person art classes for youth 11 to 17. Those are free to attend, but it is helpful if you would like to attend to register. So just highlighting some of the important work that our staff do for the youth in our community.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing Councillor Loyne's comments. Councillor Laurie?
Worship, just a couple of things. Just a reminder to our residents, we have our open house on the South Park Drive potential rezoning, and that's at the Best Western this Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. I know there's been some discussion in the community about it, so highly encouraging everyone to come out and get a little bit of an understanding as to what the thoughts are there, provide their feedback to help guide us as we look to make decisions on that in the future. I would like to bring up to our administration, and hopefully we can pass along to Alberta Transportation, it is the season of potholes. Highway 16A at Veterans Boulevard, that intersection has again this year become very bad very quickly. There's some significant attention needed there, as well as Highway 16A at South Park Drive. Not quite as bad, but still definitely some attention needed quite quickly there. I did want to thank Council and the Growth and Commerce Committee. I was one of the lucky attendees to head to the ICSC conference, the International Conference of Shopping Centers in Whistler. It was a fantastic conference where we were able to meet with many prospective businesses and developers that would have interest in the town of Stony Plain and some of the projects we have going on in the future. Many of our current landowners and representatives were there. Stony Plain was actually quite well on display. We had a booth with the Greater Edmonton Economic Development Team, I believe is GEET is the acronym, that we were well represented by our staff that were there, as well as even walking around the trade show. We had the Power Center along Highway 16A was highly advertised at one of the booths in the conference there. So great exposure for us, and looking forward to our continued participation in that conference, as I feel it'll have some great economic benefits for the town of Stony Plain as we move forward. Also, I'll second the comments about the state of the region. It's always a fantastic event. It's always been a fantastic event. And it was great to see we were able to add some of our First Nations partners in there this year to bring a more collaborative view as to what's going on in our entire region. So look forward to that event continuing with those partnerships into the future.
Thank you, Councilor Laurie. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to say it was a great privilege just recently to be invited to the chamber to, as a deputy mayor, to swear in their executive and bring greetings from the town, and to see the new board being brought in as well. So I think there's some good things to come from that. There is some past ones that stayed on and some new ones that come too. So there's a great array of people that are in that chamber now to help move our businesses within our community forward. So it's a good thing. I'm just wondering, to administration, I noticed today we have street sweepers out, which is a really nice thing. It's a kind of a sign of spring. But they were on the main highway, so I'm just wondering if that's something that we're contracted to us to do on a regular basis, and when will we see a schedule for the rest of the community? And finally, not but last but least, but 6 to 8 and Range Road 12, the amount of potholes. They did one side of the road, but they forgot the other side of the road, and I'm wondering how that's going to be addressed as we move forward. And there's some pretty big water holes on Range Road 12 that has been caused by runoff, so just maybe a grader might be nice to be seen out in that as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I mean, again, I can check in with our operations side and get some updates out to council on that. I guess just a quick question. I believe I heard street sweepers out on highway. Which particular one? I don't know if I caught the 779. 779. Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Deputy Mayor?
That's everything. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. And I just wanted to again say to our staff, great work on the pothole filling. I've driven through the community many times over the past 3 weeks, and our staff are pretty good to address any of the concerns that are raised. Again, to our fellow councillors and to our residents, definitely use the report website within the Town of Stony Plains website. It's very easy to do. It's one click, submit the location. From my understanding, there is also the ability to add a picture, and our staff will kind of prioritize that and get that taken care of right away. And I thank Councilor Laurie for bringing up the 2 intersections on 16A. Again, I'd like to ask our staff to kind of put some pressure onto Alberta Transportation and their contractor to get those addressed sooner than later, as those are very high impact areas for our community. And with that, that's all we have. So thank you very much for administration for providing the reports. And like I said, today is a very short meeting, so enjoy the rest of your evening. Well, actually, it's still afternoon for crying out loud. Yes, it is. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody. With that, we're adjourned.